Welcome to More to the Story. Today, Michelle and I are super excited because we have Erwin Lutzer with us. And Erwin, something I'd love for you to share is when you first met my Uncle John Ankerberg and what your first impression of him was.
Well, here we are sitting in a seminary classroom in the early 70s, not sure exactly what year. I'm in this row, sitting here. John is sitting across the aisle directly from me. So class is out, and he and I, for whatever reason, begin to talk. And I don't exactly remember the contents of that conversation, except to say this, that it was very clear to me right from the beginning that John had a real heart for ministry. I mean, he was telling me how he was already involved. He talked about his father, who was an evangelist, and that's all that I remember. But from that small seed, whenever we would meet, we would connect. You know, there are some people that you just feel at home with. You haven't seen them for a year or two, but you meet with them and you think to yourself that you were never apart, you know. That's the way John and Darlene are with Rebecca and me. But John is a very unique personality. You've heard it said that when God creates somebody, he often throws away the mold. Well, there was only one mold, and that was John Ankerberg. Now, we traveled with John Ankerberg, and you know, here we are in Greece, heat, I don't know, 100 degrees, sun shining. There's John in long pants, you know, a shirt as if just put on a suit coat and go on TV and do the John Ankerberg show. And all of us, of course, were wearing shorts. We have short sleeve shirts. So John always struck me as someone for whom perfectionism was very, very important. John was the kind of guy, I would suspect, and Michelle can either verify or deny this, where he would probably go to a wall, take a picture, make it crooked, just for the privilege of straightening it out properly. You know what I mean? That's the kind of guy John is. Now, as I get to know him, he so often over-prepares. Now, he doesn't want to leave anything to chance. When he has two guests and they're debating something, John studies and studies and studies because he wants the angels to win. You know, in other words, he wants the right point of view to win. But even when I come, and I'm kind of predictable, he will go to great lengths. You know, he'll read this and he'll put in this question over here and that question over there. And I'm thinking, John, you have a whole ministry to take care of. Don't spend so much time on the interviews, on so forth. But John is who John is. I sometimes tell wives, don't try to change your husband because you've been trying for years and years and it's not going well. And then I ask them this. I say, there is a Chinese saying that no matter how long you cook sand, it never becomes rice. And I think that all of our personalities are somewhat set. There may be some give and take throughout the years, but God formed John with this perfectionistic attitude, but when you stop to think of it, why? Why is the John Ankerberg program so successful? Why is it that John is so well prepared? It's because he wants it to go well, and it goes well. So that's my take on the matter. I'll tell you what really interests me, Jeff, is that seeing Darlene seems to me to be a perfect complement to John. Very different, but then Rebecca and I are very different too. I mean, people forget, and I like to remind them of what marriage is. Marriage is two people solving problems together that they'd have never had if only they'd stayed single, okay? Isn't that true about what marriage is? So Rebecca's very different from me too, and that's the reason why she takes care of so many details, because I'm not a details person. I'm not I don't follow through with a lot of things, and she's just the opposite of that. But what a blessing she is. And Darlene takes care of so much over here. They are a couple that God has put together for the purpose of ministry, and of course you know them well, Michelle, in light of the fact that, they are your parents. So we are very good friends. I thank God for his unusual gifting and even his perfectionism, though I am quite opposite of that. The other thing about him is discipline. He's had some health issues and so forth. So discipline. Somebody told me the other day that if I were to do exercise, I could add 15 years to my life. And I think they're right, because I've been doing exercise now for 3 weeks, and I feel 15 years older already. So John is disciplined. I remember being in his home, and he's standing on this thing here so that he is able to regain balance and so forth. So I greatly admire all that about him.
And who would have known what both of you would end up doing when you were in seminary?
Oh,
See what the
Michelle,
Lord
there was no way that we could have, sitting there, he didn't have a clear vision of a television minister or anything. He was into speaking in college campuses and working with InterVarsity. I had no clear vision. As a matter of fact, my vision was that eventually I would go to university and then teach apologetics in a seminary. So our meeting back then was just a meeting together of two students talking about ministry. The fact that he went in this direction, I went in this direction, and now we converge in ministry together is just another undeserved providential act of God. So that's the way it is with John. But it's wonderful to see him. Somebody who works closely with him, and this is not your mother, said that John sometimes has some unpredictability to him. Sometimes you don't know exactly what he's going to want, but what you do is you go with the flow, and you support him, and you thank God for him. So I don't know about that, Michelle. Is that true, that sometimes your father might do things that are that may not exactly be predictable for somebody who works closely with him?
Yeah, very true.
Very true. Okay.
And Jeff sees that too, just,
All right.
even though we're family, yes, oh, for sure.
Okay, and his convictions are pretty well set.
Yes, they are. Yes, they
and,
are. He knows what he wants to do. That's right.
Always dressed with flamboyant ties, a handkerchief here, and I'm looking for my cuffs because God forbid that I should be without cuffs, because I want to be like John Ankerberg. Do you see these cuffs,
There you go.
Jeff? You see, nice. They are there.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was wearing them this morning when I was with John Ankerberg on his show. Do you see that?
Yeah.
I am like John Ankerberg.
There you go. Yeah.
But you know what? In an age of oftentimes lack of respectability and like that kind of attention to detail, I think, is a very refreshing way to approach ministry. I won't get off on that, but the younger generation oftentimes is a little too casual for me, especially even behind the pulpit. But that's another subject for another time. I belong to a different era. You could actually say, if you were a graduate of Dallas Seminary, I belong to a different dispensation. And therefore, my views are oftentimes antiquated.
Yeah.
But your friendship with my dad, that's a rare thing, especially in ministry. But the fact that you are able to share stories together, and you can relate to each other, on that level, and to have somebody like that. And I think, with your ministry and how the Lord has led you, you know, there's only one Erwin Lutzer, just like there's only one John Ankerberg, you know, and there won't be anybody like you again. And so what the Lord has done in your life and leading you, you have left your impact. Like your impact was with Billy Graham and how he was an impact on your life, but you've left your impact.
I would say this, Michelle. I don't know about John's relationship with his other guests, but I would think that it is more on the basis of what are we going to do, what is the content and all that, and we do that too. But when we are with your parents, we get beneath the surface to more personal issues.
Sure.
Issues regarding the family, issues regarding ministry. And I think that your parents find in us an opportunity to share, and we feel very free to share with them. So it's more than just coming here and doing programs. We look forward to it all the time.
Thanks for joining us today. If you would like to hear more stories, just click on the link nearby. You can also download our free John Ankerberg Show app and get more resources on there.